What is behind the success of top performing real estate agents and mortgage lenders? What tactics, strategies, and lessons learned have they used to break through and achieve elite status? Top performing real estate and mortgage specialists from across the country answer these questions and so much more right here on Real Talk with Homes for Heroes. So grab your pen and paper because we are about to get real. Now here is your host of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes National Director, Abby Waltz.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 80 of Real Talk with Homes for Heroes, where I am joined by my very special guest, 2.5-year real estate specialist with Homes for Heroes, Lisa Hawkins out of Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. Yourself?
A little nervous, but we'll be good.
Yeah. You'll do great. You've been with us for just under 2.5 years, and I know your results are just extraordinary. Believe it or not, I was looking at your numbers before we popped on this show together and noticed that you've helped over 100 heroes in those 2.5 short years with us, which is think back. 100 heroes, that's a lot of families to help and give back to and honor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that big achievement for sure. We'll be inducting you into our 100 Heroes Served Club here in no time, I'm sure.
Thanks.
So I appreciate you being on the show. First and foremost, for those of us that are listening that don't know you all that well, why don't you give me a little bit of background on yourself?
Well, I'm Lisa. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. My husband and I have been in real estate for about 10, probably going on 11 years. And like you said, we found the Homes for Heroes program a few years ago. And it was just that program that we were looking for that didn't have some sort of payback feature on it. My husband is a first responder. So that definitely caught our attention as one of your ads scrolled through, I think, our personal Facebook. So you were marketing well. And it caught our attention. We started looking into it. We've always been looking for ways to give back to the community, up to the point of being with Homes for Heroes. We didn't really have a solid, across the board, this is what we're going to do for every hero. So it was definitely in line with our thoughts and our beliefs. And we signed up and we jumped in both feet first, 100%, and kept rolling with it.
Yeah, she's not kidding. Lisa and her now team went all in because I've seen you at our events that we have, our success camps. You're always constantly kind of plugged in, which I absolutely love. It makes you so much more successful, so much more quickly when you truly commit 100% to doing something. And you have definitely done that for sure.
Absolutely. And that's one of my top recommendations is just, that's my personality to begin with, is I don't do anything part way or halfway. It's definitely 100% or nothing. So that's definitely, I don't feel like the Homes for Heroes program works if you don't use it in that manner.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Same philosophy with me. Obviously, I'm biased with Homes for Heroes, right? And committing to go all in with us. But real estate in general is kind of that way too. Like I hung my license up when I started committing to doing the national director role at Homes for Heroes because you've got to go all in or you're not going to be what you need to be for your people in our industry, obviously for your clients, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
good philosophy for sure. Tell me, before you joined us, you had mentioned you've been in the real estate industry for 10, 11 years now or so. What did your business look like before joining Homes for Heroes?
Before joining Homes for Heroes, we had definitely started planning ourselves in our in our local community. And that was just from listening to my broker and mentors that I had on. I was reaching out to them. How are you successful? What works? What doesn't work? So that's always been held very highly to me, to always look up to people that I want to be in their shoes later. So we started planning ourselves in our community directly where we lived, because that's where our kids went to school. That's where our friends, our family, like I said, my husband's a first responder. So we know a lot of the first responder community, and it very much is a brotherhood. But I can tell you that without me personally being a first responder, I don't have the in that community like my husband does. If
Mhm.
he speaks up to grab or, to talk about real estate or grab a client, it comes across 10 times more powerful than if I do as a first responder wife. So the relationships in the community that I had, we kind of had a little bet when we started marketing in different areas. He was like, let's go 100% fire department. This was prior to Homes for Heroes. 100%, we're going to market the fire department. I know all these guys. I've been in the department for a long time, close. And I said, I'm going to start with my community. My kids were in school. I was in the PTA. Our HOA would host events. I mean, so we kind of started doing this. Well, my road took off a little quicker than his did. But that was also when the market started picking back up in Texas, at least. We started coming out of the recession. Well, guess what happens when the market picks up? Everybody gets a real estate license. And I would assume we're still seeing that across the nation. I know we're definitely seeing it in Texas where there's more realtors in DFW right now than there are homes for sale.
Hmm.
So with my husband even being in the first responder community, a lot of firemen have a second job and a lot of them have a real estate license. So then we were competing with that. So at the end of the day, I like to win and I'm very competitive with him, but it was actually our footprint in our community that helped our business take off more than our footprint in the first responder community.
Wow, that's fantastic that you already had that going for you before. So we probably just resonated with what you already had going on in your business.
Absolutely. We did not start from ground zero. We definitely were thinking outside the box to begin with. But when we started looking into the program, like I said, it was just like, this is something extra we can do. This is something we can throw in there. And I know I said we've been in real estate for 10 years. He's been licensed for, actually, I think he's fixing to renew 11 years. I've been licensed for 6. So Homes for Heroes has been half of my real estate career. And when I came in several years ago, he was doing it part time. I came in doing it full time. There's a big difference. We know that with realtors, you don't, not that you don't want to work with part time realtors, but there's a difference in people that work their business full time versus part time. So I didn't start at ground zero, but I definitely started, very close to ground zero and just worked my way up with that.
Mhm.
And I started gaining ground. It was just I was trying to add things, tricks to my hat so I could pull them out, and Homes for Heroes was definitely the top pick there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you haven't been in the business all that long. 6 years is a short amount of time for us, relatively speaking, and you're helping like 50 heroes year over year with us. And I know that that's just your hero business. It's not your whole business. So transaction wise, that's a large amount of numbers to be showcasing in that short amount of time.
It is, and every year we're surprised with not only the repeat referrals, the organic referrals. I promise you, we've tried every lead generation possible that we could because that's how we are. We always want to know if we can be doing something better, be doing something different, or give back in different ways. So I can say one of my greatest accomplishments is when we signed up with Homes for Heroes and went 100% in. Within a few months, we dropped every lead generation we were paying for. That is every online, Facebook, social media, all the dot coms that I won't mention, but those are very, very, very expensive leads. And we were using them and we were converting them. We were very successful with them, but they were our harder leads to work. They were our harder leads to convert. They weren't committed, they weren't loyal, we didn't know them, they were just an internet lead. And so that's where with Homes for Heroes, it's more of a personal lead. We may not know them personally, but typically they're referred to us from a personal lead, and it's a completely different transaction because they have a little bit of trust coming in to working with us.
Wow. First of all, I love hearing that. Yes, online lead gen is insanely expensive for sure. And I think the process for us agents is so frustrating because it is a numbers game at that point, right? You're just trying to find some sense of something you can bond over, something that you have similar in common to start building a relationship. And that's very hard. It's like beating your head against the wall sometimes. So I'm glad to hear that you are able to establish a quick rapport and relationship with the Homes for Heroes people, and you were able to do away with your super expensive online leads. Lesson learned, people. Remember that.
I'm telling you, the amount we were spending was probably more than my mortgage payment. And like I said, it made sense at the end of the day. We're very much numbers generated, and it has to make sense if and make money in your business. But when we were able to shift gears and say the amount of money that we're paying to these companies, if we started pouring that into our local community based off that little bit of edge I had already started doing, and I'm telling you guys, whenever I started in my community, it was like the cheapest marketing things you could come up with. I hosted, okay, we're in Texas, so give me a little bit of leeway here. But I hosted a Dallas Cowboys watch party. And at my HOA, that cost me $100 in party supplies, plates, food, cupcakes, cookies, whatever. And I rented a screen or maybe a TV and a pop-up tent. So just getting people to gather, and I know that sounds a little weird, especially during COVID, but even something like that was outside. I was able to meet people in my community, and I just took off from there. At Christmas time, I was hosting a wreath making party for some of the moms I had met in the neighborhood. Well, all the moms wanted to bring at that time a Yeti of wine. I'm like, well, I don't mind if you bring a Yeti of wine and come make a wreath for Christmas or whatever. I supplied the supplies for, again, a couple $100. Like, I'm not talking I was throwing these big, very expensive $1,000 parties. It was very small, very, very pinpointed on who I was targeting. I started joining groups in our community that were playing games, that were doing poker night, that were doing bunco night, that were doing toddler time. So for me, it was just a matter of meeting people that were in the same circles I would run, right? So you won't see me marketing to, at this point, my kids are grown, right? I say grown. My youngest is 10. She's not a toddler. You don't see me really marketing to toddler groups because I'm no longer in that circle. So if I'm marketing to them, they're only seeing me as often as I market. I'm marketing to the groups that not only I identify with, I socialize with, I can have conversation with, and that's where the trust is gained. I don't come in and say, "Hi, I'm Lisa the realtor." I don't know that that's actually ever come out of my mouth. I'm Lisa, I'm a mom, I have 2 daughters, my husband's a fireman, and it's like the conversation takes off from there. And typically within a conversation, it comes up, "What do you do for a living? What do you do?" And that's where real estate comes out. So I don't ever come in to any marketing event with, I rarely even wear a name tag, which is kind of weird in our field, but I wear it if I'm going to a broker event. But in my community, you won't see me wearing a name tag. You won't see me, hanging banners with my name on it. I have my business cards. I tag everything I do. I actually grabbed these so I could show, but like I have stickers that have the Homes for Heroes stuff on it. I have magnets. Those are really good for the fire stations because every fire station has 3 refrigerators, if not 4 or more. And guess what? It doesn't get thrown away. And then I put these, whenever we do basket deliveries. So everything we do is tagged. It doesn't matter if I'm dropping off cookies at my kid's school, I'm tagging it. But again, I'm not introducing myself as Lisa, the Homes for Heroes realtor. I'm introducing myself as Lisa Hawkins.
No, I love that approach, and I love that idea of working with those that you're already going to come in contact with, so that it's not really a sales approach. It's a presence approach, right? You're going to
Absolutely.
be there anyways. Might as well just network with the people that you're going to surround yourself with.
And at the end of the day, those are the people I want to work with. Those are my less stressful transactions typically. Yeah, we're going to have kinks here and there, but those are the people that want to work with me. I want to work with them. A lot of times they're referred to me. A lot of times I've met them in some sort of social setting. It's become now where it's almost a little bit funny to me, but people recognize me and I don't know them. because I put our team, headshots on everything, and my face goes on everything. So a lot of it is marketing, but I'm not marketing to groups that I'm never going to see again, because a lot of marketing is consistency, right? So you want to consistently target these same places. I can tell you, my husband works for a very big city. We're in Fort Worth, Texas. It's one of the largest fire departments in Texas. I do not market 45 fire stations in Fort Worth. I don't. I market 5. Those are the 5 that are closest to me, and we have relationships, and I see them all the time. They're at the grocery store all the time getting food. They're across from my kid's school, and my kid's school goes and drops goodies off at the fire station. That's who I'm marketing to as well, and they start putting these things together when we host community events. Our community does fireworks on the 4th of July. We do National Night Out. There's so many things we do. Guess what fire station and fire truck is coming? The one that I'm there and I'm marketing to. So I'm not marketing on the other side of the city. Um, I'm staying very, very centralized with, a core group.
Yeah. No, I think that's smart to truly specialize and to get hyper local, especially in our industry. And even our knowledge base of the homes in the local market areas and whatnot. It's super helpful to be able to just get laser focused on one specific area so that you can, like you said, consistently be in front of them and be present and just know the people that you're actually working with and surrounding yourself with them in work and outside of work at the same time too. Super smart.
Yes, and with that, I speak about the fire department a lot because that's not only part of my business, but that's part of my home every day. I wouldn't even say that they're a primary part of my closings.
Mm,
You look at our numbers and where our referrals come from and where our closings come from, fire department's actually very low on that. But it's the relationships and the connections and the people and the talking. And a lot of our first responders are veterans, so they're actually mostly probably going to come through as a veteran lead. And I would say that that's actually probably the largest part of our, heroes that we close are veterans, because there are so many in every different hero field. A lot of our veterans are first responders. A lot of our veterans are police officers. A lot of our veterans are married to, all these other nurses and teachers. And again, just going back to marketing my circle, same thing with the school. I don't market every school in my ISD. I market where my kids go to school, because I know those teachers, I know those principals, I know those families. And it's been very, very rewarding for us to watch that form and watch that grow, um, with, having Homes for Heroes to back us as well.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into the community aspect of this because I think this is so important. I've said it before, I'll say it again. One of the biggest things that I look at for community health is actually real estate. It's real estate, it's schools, and then it's law enforcement to determine how that community is doing with what's going on in those 3 areas. And I think realtors occasionally miss the mark and knowing their impact and their importance in their local community. You're not just bringing people into the community, you are literally building the community members around you and bringing them in and helping them buy, sell homes within that. But on the flip side of that, you can be like pillars of your community and you plugged in very early on to this notion of actually making an impact in your community, focusing your time and your efforts and building and bettering your community. And so many agents just don't see that they can do that. I'd love to know from your perspective, kind of, you talked about bringing people together with making wreaths, watching the Dallas Cowboy football games. What other things have you done in your community to help not just you engage, but to help people come together and have that sense of community?
Oh, that's it's it's actually, some of it's funny, some of it's not. It's very lighthearted in my opinion. I always tell people I don't sell houses. I find friends. Um, I'm there's a lot. I probably one of my most things that a lot of realtors around me started doing, I got my notary license. In Texas, you have to have some documents notarized when you sell a house. I can tell you I've done 2 this morning, and just posting on my community page. If you need a notary, call me. And every single time somebody asks for a notarized document, my name, my email address, and my phone number get posted. I'm not allowed to market real estate in my community, but I can guarantee you everybody knows I work with Hawkins Real Estate because that's my domain. That does have a lot to do with your marketing. Is we have a Homes for Heroes domain, and we have our real estate team domain. And I kind of have them, all linked together and everything, but I advertise my name and my email address because it's Lisa at hawkinsrealestateteam.com. So I don't have to tell them I'm a realtor. I'm a notary. They need a notary that day. I'm a notary. I've actually been called in my community for the most wildest things y'all would not believe. Somebody's car got egged and they're calling me saying, how do I report this to the police, to the HOA? And I'm like, not me. So, just throughout, just always being there to help is what it is. I can't even really pinpoint outside of some of those events that I started doing at the very, very beginning. Nothing is large scale. Everything is very small scale and very personal with helping with donations. It doesn't matter if it's schools, if it's events, if it's community events, setting up booths. We have a tablecloth that has our logo on it and Homes for Heroes logo on it. But again, I'm not out there pushing, are you a hero? Are you a hero? Let me talk to you. Let me talk to you. I'm not trying to be salesy. It's just out there for everybody to see. Our fire department does a big chili cook-off every year. They didn't do it last year, which I'm very disappointed in. Hopefully it comes back. But that's the biggest event in Fort Worth Fire Department. The biggest. I don't go to all their events. They do a lot of family events, a lot of smaller scale things. I chose the one that I know the most people show up to. And it's just name recognition, logo recognition. And guess what? I go and I hang out and I have fun, and they're cooking chili and they're, doing brewery stuff and all this stuff. I don't even stand behind my booth. I don't. I go out and I mingle and I have fun and I introduce myself and I ask questions and I enjoy myself. Because if I'm stuck behind a booth, I've got really bad, not good facial expressions, sometimes. And if I'm sitting there, I'm not happy. So I have to put myself in an element where I'm enjoying it and I'm happy and I'm smiling. And that is what attracts people to want to know me, to want to know more, to start that conversation of, hi, what's your name? What do you do?
Yeah, you're personable that way. So that makes
Absolutely.
complete sense. And for those of you that are listening on the podcast and can't see Lisa's face, she is not making weird facial expressions. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Oh, too funny.
Yeah.
All right. So you've had 2.5 years with us. You've had almost 6 years starting out and just doing community engagement and getting ingrained in your local community. What's one of your biggest success stories or biggest return on your investment that you've done with that approach?
That's probably the easiest question for me to answer because it can't be measured in dollars. It can't. It's definitely measured in gratitude, thankfulness, and just overall knowing that you're able to give back to families. And, my team and I, we have meetings all the time, and some families don't, quote unquote, need a reward or need closing cost assistance, but it's just a thank you. And I tell them that anyways. So the most rewarding is, I mean, there's several of them, is helping that family that probably wouldn't have been able to buy a home without their reward, or that single mom that, was maybe in a not healthy situation getting into a home. We actually had one of those this week that we truly, truly believe that when we work in the best interest of our client and we are not greedy with it and we are giving with it and we are honest and ethical and we do the job the best we can, that's the most rewarding part, is seeing them just say thank you.
I love that answer. I love that for so many different reasons. A, having it be personally rewarding, right? Deeply within you, not just getting the deal done, but helping somebody expand on their own story and their own lifestyle and get into a home. But also from the component that you're being motivated not by the transaction, right? The end result of you getting a commission, which can really drive some negative actions and thoughts and just not put you in a good solid spot, but you're driven by the purpose of it all, right? At the end result of getting them there, not the monetary component of it.
I promise clients can smell if you're not honest with where you're coming from, with the end result. We're all in a crazy market right now. It's Buyers are having a hard time competing with cash offers. They're having a hard time competing with multiple offers, 20, 30, 40 offers. Some homes are getting 100 showings in a weekend. And if you're not going into it with good intentions, they're trying to find somebody else that can do better for them because they think you're not doing your job. And so over explaining, setting expectations on this is where we're at. This is how we're navigating it. This is how we're trying to find an edge. I can't tell you how many meetings I've had with local lenders, with everybody in my community, title lenders, my team, other realtors, my broker of let's help each other out. We're all in the same boat. We're just trying to help each other, but the end result is helping our client. And not only having them get into a home or be happy with the transaction, but knowing that we did everything we could possibly do.
Mm. Yeah, communication, especially right now with how tight the market is. If you're listening to this 6 months from now, our market is tight. There are not a lot of listings out there right now, so it's very competitive for our buyers for sure. But over communication in these times, especially when the market looks like this, I think is key. And setting their expectations up front, which is insanely smart to do. Like, we're gonna come up against challenges. It's gonna happen, and I'm gonna fight like hell through it with ya, but
Even our cash buyers are, getting challenged with not getting offers accepted for, we're writing anywhere between 3 and 20 offers per client until we finally get one accepted based off of seller's terms. And one of our really, really rewarding client stories, it's not closed yet, but it happened yesterday. The other agent we were working with called us and said, "We don't want your $20,000 over asking price offer." We're like, "What? Excuse me? That doesn't make sense. Where are you coming from?" And they said, "My seller is worried about appraisal. We just want full price guaranteed. We just want full price guaranteed." Okay, no problem at all. We will get that, corrected and sent back over. But that was one of our single moms that's trying to get out of a home that's not healthy for her and her children, and she's trying to do it very, very quickly because it could turn ugly very, very quick. So it was one of those, like, we're sitting last night and we're all crying going, "That doesn't even make sense." I mean, 20,000 over is still over asking price, but we're seeing 40, 50, some areas of DFW are 90 or 100. And I know different areas of the country, are probably exceeding that, but single mom doesn't have $100,000 to go over on a asking price. So she's throwing 20, throwing 20, throwing 20, and then she gets an offer accepted at list price. Does that even make sense outside of we went into it with certain expectations? You know, I don't know. It was kind of a weird thing. I'm going to try not to cry, but
yeah.
we just feel like those type of situations happen more often than not when we're giving back, when we're giving rewards, when we're working in the best interest of the client, not actually trying to sell them home.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that approach for sure. Whew, goosebump stories, right?
Yes, they're my
No.
favorite.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about kind of what you're seeing right now. If I were to be a new agent joining your team, what would be a big piece of advice in the tight market that we're in that you would give me to help me in my real estate career?
Oh, that's a long list.
Top 3, top 5, whatever
Y
you got for me.
every client, every situation, everybody's finances are different. And so expectations I'll go with the client I was showing this morning. She's moving from out of state. Her house closes in 30 days out of state. She needs to be in a home in 30 days. And, I just set the her first thing is I'm not going to go into a bidding war. Well, that's kind of what we're seeing. So, I go show her some homes and it's just one of those, hey, it's been on the market 3 days and you have to make decisions quickly. Okay? So, the best advice I give my agents is if you're not showing confidence to your client, they're not going to believe you that this is the market we're in. This is what you need to offer on this house. We're pulling comps before we show the houses because if they walk in that front door and they fall in love with it, by the time I get home and write an offer, it might be too late.
Mm,
So we are, that's the biggest one is definitely being confident in what you know and what you do and portraying that to the client, or else if you're kind of wishy-washy or you're sitting on the fence, they sense it, they see it, they smell it, and they're not going to believe you, and then they're going to be mad at you when they lose out on that home that they've been looking for or the one. So I I'm a big family person. My family always comes before work, before anything else. And so I just make sure whenever I set out my work day that my family's scheduled first and these are the hours that I have and I get everything I can get done in that amount of time so that I'm not working at midnight writing offers that probably went under contract at 6 o'clock, but I've been showing houses all day. So I'm not home until, 8, 9, 10 o'clock and writing offers. I'm doing it as I go. And I know some people have transaction coordinators, some don't. We have a team that helps each other, but you've got to have somebody in your corner. I definitely recommend working with other agents. You don't have to have a team to work with other agents. We're all here for the same result. And what I see more often than not is agents try to make the transaction more complicated than it has to be. And I tell my team every meeting, don't stress about the little things. What is your client focused on? That's what you need to be focused on, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. It's their perspective, not yours. And wholeheartedly, guide them into whatever is right for them. And that goes on the listing side too. I mean, everybody has a different situation. I unfortunately sell a lot of homes because of divorces, because of people that have passed away, because of family status changes. Some of them are happy, some of them aren't, but it's a huge decision. So going in and telling them, I want to do what's best for you, whether I get paid, whether I don't, whether it's this month, next month, or next year, and just telling them and making them believe it is the battle.
mm, yeah, and it's hard. It's the biggest investment that they've made in their lives or will make. Um, so yeah, establishing that trust right off the bat is tough, but being open about it, right, and acknowledging it, I think is
Absolutely.
a great way to do that for sure. Um, let's talk COVID because it's been going on for a year plus now. How have you adapted over this time? I know Texas is very different. I was in Florida for a few months over the winter, which was a refreshing time for sure. Michigan is not so much open at all. So what's it like in Texas for you, and how have you kind of adapted to the changing environment that we're in?
So fortunately, I've traveled a little bit, so I get to see a little bit of some of what the other states are doing. I'll be the first to say we actually had COVID in our house pretty early on, and so that knocked a lot of fear out of me, as far as our family goes. So that helped me a ton. I was actually ostracized pretty well once anybody knew that we had it, because we were not on social media blasting it out, to the rooftops, because we both work. We never stopped working. We did what we needed to do and what our clients asked us to do. And so, to answer your question, it was mostly I would go in and ask, how do you feel? How comfortable are you? Do you want me to do a Zoom, listing appointment with you? I did one of those a month ago because she's a first-time mom and she's pregnant and she's been isolated, during this pregnancy, and it was a big concern of hers. So her concerns were different than mine. My kids are in school. We've been traveling. We've traveled out of the country. We play sports. My husband's a first responder, so he's exposed to it every single day. And we're just in different bubbles. But that's kind of how my personality is, as far as that's okay if you feel that way or you want to, protect your family. I'm gonna absolutely do that. I've put shoe covers at the front door. I put all my instructions in, as far as seller requires everybody to wear a mask. Please don't touch lights. Please don't touch door handles. I ask my sellers, turn everything on, open every door. If you're worried about them touching things inside your house, do it before they get there, so they're not having to touch every light switch and open every door. Leave every door open, and just being very over communicative with it. And as the year has gone on, it's definitely gotten a lot more relaxed here, but it's not gone. I don't know that it will ever be gone. I think we could probably all agree on that. Life is forever changed due to COVID. And so I just hope we take the healthy things that we've learned along the way and always just ask our client where their comfort level is, whether you agree or whether you disagree, and roll with it. Do the best you can.
Yeah. Great piece of advice. It reminds me, I have a friend who's a negotiator, and one of his top things was never deny somebody their own reality. So if
Mhm.
your clients are telling you that they're uncomfortable, A, you should be the one that's asking the question and bringing the conversation to the forefront first and foremost. But B, respect where they're at and change your own behavior accordingly in order to accommodate their goals.
And that's just our job in general, even as realtors. We have some sellers that are way more unrealistic, and then some that we're telling them their home is worth way more than they ever thought. So it's kind of the same conversation in my world, as far as what's best for you. Yeah, we could underprice your house a little bit, but you better be ready to move yesterday. Or we could, if you've got a little time, if you're building a home, you don't plan on moving for 10 to 12 months, because that's where builders are at in our area, is if you're signing a contract, you're not building for 10 or 12 months because they're so behind, and obviously construction costs and everything are up. But, it's always what's best for the client. And it's not about us anymore. We're providing a service. We're providing expertise, experience, and guiding them. And I tell people, I do this every single day. I could do it with my eyes closed. Yeah, there's some little things that are different within a transaction, or maybe some, crazy questions that are thrown, or crazy things that come up here and there. But I could do this, buy and sell transaction, or write a contract with my eyes closed. If you have a question, please ask me. You're not bothering me. If you have a concern, please tell me. You're not bothering me. It's probably something I've answered before, and if I don't know the answer, I will find out the answer. I think that's where a lot of people lose confidence, as they start going, I don't know. I don't. I rarely say I don't know. It's always, if I don't know, I will find out for you. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So I have to ask, you talk about kind of having your hours that you're working, right? And making sure that your family comes first. I know you personally know that you are an insanely busy mom of two, especially with travel volleyball and whatnot, all that goes on in your girls' lives. But how are you balancing it all? What's the secret behind this balancing act you got going on?
I wish I felt like I was balancing it, because I feel like I fail every day, but every day is a new day. I At some point during COVID, I couldn't tell you if it was 4 months ago or 6 months ago, because it's been crazy and busy. But I am very cautious with what I surround myself with, what I read, what I see, what I give energy to. And as much as we, talk about marketing on social media, I had to take a break. It was too much. It was too much negative coming into me, too much negative I was reading with COVID, with schools, with masks, with an election, with vaccines, all these things kind of colliding at once. I took a break from social media a lot, and I made sure that I was purposefully either hiding or unfollowing, things that I didn't feel like were healthy for me. And I started intentionally following the more positive mindset type pages, or on Instagram it's a little different because it's just pictures, but on Instagram, go type in positive things and business minded things, business hacks, boss babe. There's so many different ones that keep you motivated, that keep you on track, that keep your mindset where it needs to be. And I know we have a lot of freedom with real estate. And I know when we were working at home, we haven't done an open house in probably a year. That was a huge source of our lead generation, was open houses in our area. And we had to find different ways. So, you know, getting up every morning and making sure that you're not being unproductive and make sure you are being productive is the best way to stay on track and plan your day. I took something from you, Abby, probably a year ago, whenever the Zooms really started and heavily talking about planning 6 weeks out. Because then if you get busy at the end of those 6 weeks to plan your next 6 weeks, you have a little bit of a buffer. And I live by my calendar on my phone. So before I schedule a client, if I'm on the phone with a client, I'm looking at my calendar in my hand, because my family will always come first.
Yeah. No, I love that. And especially with all that your family has going on in their lives, you definitely need that 2 week buffer for the 6 week action plan. For sure. Well, I'm glad that helped. And I love the mindset component of it. What you focus on really matters, and it can dramatically impact your thought process. It can impact your health. It certainly can impact your business. So good for you for being aware of it enough to say, nope, I just need to take a step back for a second and reset, reevaluate what I'm looking at. So super smart.
Thanks.
You mentioned clearly lead gen used to be open houses for you, a big component of it. What have you done differently now to continue the lead gen component of it, with COVID considered, with the market considered, all that kind of stuff?
Well, not only, I think the big misconception with real estate is a lot of sellers, at least in our area. I know, I've never done real estate in another state, but I hear that it's how homes sell. For instance, I've heard in California, you don't buy a house unless you go to an open house. It's never been that way in Texas. It was actually more, that's how you got buyer leads, was through an open house. But to a seller's perspective, it was that's how you sell the house. If you don't have an open house, if you don't have buyers coming through, my house isn't going to sell. So, again, educate, educate, educate. Most homes in Texas do not sell from an open house. So at the very beginning, when we stopped doing open houses, it was a huge fear for sellers. What do you mean I can't have an open house? Or the sellers were just flat out, nobody's coming into my house. Hey, I completely understand, no problem. We'll do other things. But we sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. But we started just finding other ways to help out in our community. And I'm always going to go back to that, because you do have to think outside the box. Using that Homes for Heroes affiliate page is probably, I don't get on there as much. And as you heard me say, I kind of took a little bit of a step back from social media, but I'm always on there scrolling for ideas. I'm typically scrolling past the questions. I'll answer it if I feel like I, need to answer it, but I'm looking for the ideas and what other people are doing, because people are posting what they do and what's successful. And I'm always looking for other ways, or maybe things that I'm not thinking of. So I have not done an open house in a year. We maybe tried one, probably in the fall, 6, 8 months ago. 1 or 2 people came through and they both had an agent with them. Well, guess what? Those agents can schedule and do a showing just like any other agent can. So it was not only a waste of my time, it was a waste of my seller's time to be out of the house. But it's just social media. Instagram, Facebook are our two big ones.
Mm.
And we don't post a lot of I don't post a lot of links as far as like, hey, I have this house for sale. I'm posting how we're helping in the community. I'm posting anytime we're doing deliveries. I'm posting every time we have a sale. I'm posting with that check. Sorry, I leaned the wrong way. With the check behind me, with their reward check. People see that and they take note and they bookmark it for later. So, as much as we hate sometimes that a lot of this is online now that used to not be online, it's our reality. It is what it is, and you just have to learn it. And I'm not the best at it. Y'all are probably going to want to go follow me on social media now and probably be disappointed, but do it anyways. Something is better than nothing, always.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love if you didn't catch this thread between the very start of the show and the moment that we just witnessed right now with Lisa, she has gone from saying, I immerse myself in the community, I bring the community together, I add value to the community and the members around me that I surround myself with, all the way through to this is how I communicate. This is what I post on social media. It's all about the community. So if you took nothing from this episode, it's all about the community, you guys. And it's through and through to actions and word choice and all of that kind of stuff.
And to
That's
kind
success.
of tag on to that, we have a team of 5. And what I said earlier was, trying to even market to the firemen in our area, that's going to come from my husband and reach so many more people than me as a fire wife. So it's kind of mute coming out of my mouth. And a little side note is he doesn't actively do real estate. He's licensed, but he does our investment stuff. So he's not actively buying and selling, which also means he's not actively marketing real estate because that's not his job. So me trying to be him, it will never be that way. And when you look at my team, we all have different circles. And one of my team members, her husband's active Air Force Reserve. So where is she marketing? Her circle. Another team member is very involved in her kids' school and sports, and so am I. But we're at different schools. We play different sports. We live in the same community, so we know some of the same people in the same community. But as far as outside circles, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have another team member that it's actually my sister-in-law. So I have a love for my team member. But her husband is starting up a new company and he brews cider. So he's starting a cidery. That's a completely different, sphere of people that they connect with versus who I connect with or my other team members connect with. So we all live probably within 2 miles of each other. If we solely try to do the same thing over and over and over, I'm going to host an event or I'm going to do a watch party or I'm going to do, a craft party. We're running over each other all day. But yet we start branching out and we touch 10 times or 100 times more people with the same intention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that goes to your point earlier about, I know this is a huge buzzword right now, but being authentic, just knowing who you are and working that's going to speak more truly to the people that you would be doing business with in the first place than you trying to, shotgun approach it and tap everybody in a certain area that might want to work with you because of what you do, but don't do it because why you do it or who you are as a person, which is those are the clients you want as repeat clients. And those are the people that you want sending you business. Because the other ones, the ones that don't get you or don't relate to you on that level, those are like oh, it's okay. I'll just refer you out. I've got a really great agent that can totally help you. So
Yeah, for
I think
sure.
that's a smart approach for sure.
Yes.
Everybody's great to work with though.
Always.
They have
But
their own agents that they connect with. Yeah. Oh, too funny. All right, before I get into my rapid fire questions for you, did you have anything else that you wanted to share from a success story or just a little tidbit for anybody on here?
no, I think what really helped kickstart me was when you guys did it Success Camp a couple years ago. Also, I highly recommend if you have not attended a Success Camp to go. It helps get you fired up. Abby's amazing. The whole team's amazing. And just
Shameless plug. I'll tip her later.
But I'm one of those personal people. If I didn't know you and I haven't met you, this is a totally different conversation, and I'd probably be pouring sweat right now. My cheeks are red, but, it's relationship for me. It always has been
Mhm.
relationship for me, and what I was leading into was you guys did a video, or you gave us the opportunity to do a video for our why, and it made me dig deep and really pinpoint what the why was, and I was a nervous wreck, and I probably mumbled on too long, and Seth is amazing at what he does, because 'cause I've done a couple interviews with him, and oh my gosh, he just, like, walks you through it, and you're doing good, and it's great, and that was probably the biggest Kickstarter of why I was doing this, and I've used that moving forward for years now. So not only attend Success Camp so you can meet other people, listen to other people, form those relationships, but know your why.
Mm. You wanna share yours on here?
So it's a cool story, and it's posted on my YouTube, but again, I'm not a social media anything. It's probably my only video on my YouTube because I don't YouTube. I should more. I'm learning, or I'm trying. She is an agent with me now. She's on my team. And she was one of my clients when I very first started, and our daughters were best friends. They went to, like, Mother's Day out together, so before pre-K. Very little. He is Air Force Reserve. He was getting deployed. So
Mm.
there's always a story with it, right? Everybody has a story. Everybody's fighting a battle that you never know, and that's, man, I have endless stories about that. So they're looking to buy a house. He has so many days until he's deployed. I don't remember the timeline, maybe 30 days, maybe 45 days. It was a very short timeline.
Mhm.
We're renting, their lease was ending, and they had to have a house by this date. The side note to that is their kids are very young. They did not know dad was deploying. So that starts tugging at my heartstrings. And I'm like, we got to get you guys in a house. Your husband has to be able to help you move, and all the emotions that are going on there. Where as a firefighter wife, we have a lot of emotions in our house. We have a lot of things that my kids don't understand that other families don't go through. You
Mhm.
know, that's a whole nother story, but there's always a battle somebody's fighting that you don't always know about because it's not always talked about. Okay.
Mhm.
So they start tugging at my heartstrings, and we've got to get them in a house. We finally find the perfect house, get them under contract. And we're 3 weeks into the transaction, appraisal comes in short. There is 0 down, VA loan, not a lot of cash in the bank, right? So, I was able to gift them a portion of my commission to help them close the gap to be able to get that house. That was before I was ever with Homes for Heroes.
Wow.
And that feeling, that thought, that happiness, that gratefulness, I always make fun of her because I tell her she used her mom voice on me, and I sent her an amendment that said, and I don't know what I wrote on there, something about me gifting, a portion of the commission to the buyer, all these things, buyer's closing costs, and or reducing my commission. And I didn't tell her. That's the funnier part, is I didn't tell her. I sent it to him through, I use DocuSign. I sent it to him through DocuSign, and I said, sign it. And she picks up the phone and she's like, ah. And I said, "But you don't understand, I want to do this for your family. Not only are you guys friends, our kids are friends. Your husband has served and signed up, you know, to pay the ultimate price. I could never repay you for that. And then I said, I didn't holler at her, but I was like, just sign it and send it back." See, y'all made me cry now. So, and I think I probably cried in my wife video too, but it's something I hold very, very, very close to my heart.
Yeah.
Um, I was able to do that very, very, very early on in my real estate career, and I've just always held on to that.
Yeah. It's so meaningful and it's so moving. She is tearing up, you guys. So
Polite
so
now.
am I. Oh, but that's such a motivator too for continuing on through the challenging times, for educating your clients to keep going and persisting and all that kind of stuff. So I love that story. What a
Yeah.
memorable moment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I know it
You're welcome.
I'm not trying to make people cry in this show, but I usually do.
If it doesn't mean anything to you, how can you make other people believe you?
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. All right. Are you ready? You've made it through the show. You just have 3 more questions to get through.
Okay, 3 more. Hang on. Nope, I don't know where my tissues went. It's fine. I wasn't prepared with tissues, but it's fine.
Super quick. So if you could walk back 6 years ago to brand new Lisa in the real estate industry, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Oh, brand new Lisa in real estate industry was working a 9 to 5 job in a medical field. And I was very hesitant when I very first started. Fear of failure is what it was, you know. And I waited, I think 4 or 5 months before I fully committed to doing real estate full time because I wanted that security blanket of my full-time job over here. But then I was trying to make real estate work over here. And that's probably the biggest advice. Go all in. It does not matter. You can be successful. You will not be as successful if you don't go all in with
Mhm.
anything and everything you do in real estate, with your clients, with Homes for Heroes. Give it your all.
Yeah. Great piece of advice in any life lessons for sure. Um, are you a reader?
No.
No, that's okay. I swear, probably like 2/3 of my guests are not readers, so that's okay. Where are you going? What are you tapping into to learn, to expand your knowledge base? Is it Facebook groups? Is it a podcast? What are you tapping into to help yourself grow?
Because I'm not a reader, I buy a lot of books, believe it or not, because I want to be a reader. um, so it goes back to relationships. I'm always asking my mentors, which is my broker, my realtor friends, my team for advice. And they suggest books all the time. I'll get a couple chapters in and I skim read. Y'all, I skim read emails, text messages, books, all the things. And I miss, some bullet points here and there and I get made fun of. But I try to catch the big bullet points in anything. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to somebody. I'm always listening out of one ear. So my full attention may not be there because of course we're on our phone all the time and we're, working and trying to multitask with 12 different things. But I always have an ear out on conversations. Realtors. I don't actually network a whole lot with other realtors, but our brokerage is a smaller brokerage, which means I can pick up the phone at any point and talk to my broker. I can pick up the phone at any point and probably talk to anybody in my brokerage because we have about 80 agents, I think, where some brokerages have 800. So
Mhm.
find your circle, find your like-minded circle of people you look up to. I have not met a single realtor or broker that has not been willing to talk to me if I ask questions.
Nice.
I don't view them as competition, and I think the longer you're in real estate and the more experience you get in real estate, you believe that and experience that more. There's enough real estate to go around for everybody, especially now when, we're in a crazy market.
Mhm.
But we're not in competition with each other. We're not here to make each other's job harder. We're here to make our jobs easier, work with each other, help each other get to the same final goal, which is a closing.
Wow. Knowledge bomb, mic drop moment right there. So true. That's coming from contribution and an abundance mindset at its core. So super smart. I'll send you the book on that. No, just kidding.
I told you I could talk to a wall, but that's where I get my knowledge from is from talking and listening and asking questions.
Smart. Smart. You got to be a sponge, man, and you got
Yeah.
to know that. So
Yeah.
I love that. And then last but not least, this is an easy one. What is your favorite room in your house?
Ooh, I'm gonna
Hope
tell
maybe it's not easy.
I probably my living room. I'm not a cook. I don't like to cook. That's weird. I know I get told that all the time. So my house, my living room, my kitchen, and my dining room, there's no walls. It's all one big great room.
Sure.
So if I'm in my living room, I can be present with pretty much anything going on in my house. My kids don't spend a lot of time in their room because we don't let them. We're like, "What are you doing? Why are you in there? Come out here." So it's probably our living room. That's kind of where we gather, or if one of us are cooking, or if one of us are, doing dishes or doing those house things, we're still all together
Hmm.
when we're in the living room. And if I'm not inside my house, I am always in my pool.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Good answer. Good answer. I like that's where you bring your family together. So that's
Yeah.
that's the perfect answer for you,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for your time today and your openness and willingness to share so much of yourself with me and with our entire audience. I really appreciate you. And I really appreciate just where you're coming from in general, just to give back and to help and to lead with a servant's mindset. I think is it's extraordinary, and we need more professionals like you for sure. So thank you so much for allowing me to have an hour of your time. And for everybody else that tuned in, thank you as well. We will see you next week on another episode.